T. Skillet, and today's April 3rd, Good Friday. And this is our little news update from Panikin Rehab. As you know, Panikin Rehab has a 5 a.m. morning podcast hosted by Tyler, and I'm a part of it, Tim and T. Skillet, and James from Empty Pockets Podcasts. And we discuss daily events, what's up for the day. It's the day of, like today, this morning, it was view a rainbow, chocolate mousse. And then we talked about the meaning of Good Friday and the whole day that Jesus experienced on Good Friday with his crucifixion. So that was this morning show. Today's just our news update, and then uh, well, tonight's Killer Carl podcast isn't having his program on. We're waiting for his Saturday radio show at 8 o'clock on the John Fredericks News Media Network. So, and if you do, tune in because it's fun watching Killer Carl and John Fredericks Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. It's an hour show, and it's always interesting. Okay, today's update: the Artemis. NASA moonshot, the Artemis update. The Artemis capsule left high orbit of Earth and and slingshotted its way now toward the moon. So this is the first time we've had a manned, womaned spacecraft leave Earth orbit, heading toward the moon or any other planet in the last 50 years. So it's really exciting. The capsule now is hurtling toward the moon. It's not going to go into a low orbit around the moon, but a high orbit around the moon once, and then come back to Earth, which is going to take 4 days. The space mission is going to end on April 10th, with the capsule landing in the Pacific. But this today or yesterday was a very critical point, and today, with the orbiter going to a high altitude, I think 7 miles above the Earth, and then releasing from the Earth orbit to go ahead um, out of orbit and headed toward the moon. Now they have to do corrections with the orbit, make sure that they can control it, so they have a controlled high altitude orbit around the moon and then slingshot back to Earth's, which takes 4 days. But everything's going smoothly. I think they have a problem with the restroom on board the capsule, but hey, things like that occur. That's why they have massive depends that they wear. Fallout from the Bondi firing. Um, so Bondi has been replaced by uh, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanchie, and Blanchie has stepped in as the acting AG for President Trump. And who is Blanchie? Well, Todd Blanchie had to give up his prestigious law firm job to represent Trump when Trump was well, we feel unlawfully charged with white collar crimes after he was president, after he was president and lost the election in 2020. Blanchie had worked as a partner for Caldwell, Wickersham, and Taft, which is now one of the largest law firms in the world after merging with Hogan Lovell law firm. And Blanchie has long discussed how his colleagues forced him to give up his partnership in one of the largest law firms, okay, to take Trump on as a client. So all of a sudden, instead of just being a partner and having a new client, President Trump, and defend him with his cases brought on against him, I'm sure in Florida and in New York, um, and in Atlanta, okay, in Fulton County, that he had to give up his job in in um, at the law firm. So you can imagine, I mean, how many attorneys can you get to represent you if they have to give up their job to represent you? Okay. But he did, because that was the right thing to do. So Todd gave up his job, appearing on For the Defense with David Oscar Marcus broadcast in 2024. Todd Blanchie said that he was treated differently than other attorneys who had represented Jeffrey Epstein or Hayden Bunner. And so he had to represent other attorneys who represented Jeffrey Epstein or Hunter Biden. And of course, they were all represented by attorneys in their law cases, but they didn't have to give up their job at the law firm that they were working at to defend those people. So why did Todd have to give up his job at a prestigious law firm just to represent President Trump? It's such a two-tier unfair. They have big law firms representing, of course, Jeffrey Epstein and the late Jeffrey Epstein and Hunter Biden, and represent them. And the big law lawyers get awarded. They get to go to galas. They even get to speak at different law places, law conventions. Um, but that if you're representing somebody like the former president of the United States back, which was President Trump, in a white collar case, he said he had to leave his law firm, as reported by The Hill. So maybe this isn't a bad thing. Maybe this is the right AG that Trump needs representing us, because that's that's a little different. So maybe Todd Blanchie is the right person for the job. A coalition of over 40 countries are meeting today in the UK to discuss safe passage for ships going through the Straits of Hormuz. Well, that's great. They're meeting in the UK right now. We're kicking butt over there in the Middle East, trying to keep the Straits of Hormuz safe. So, but these guys are safe. They're in the UK meeting. Maybe they should have met in the middle of the Straits of Hormuz and met there. I don't know. NATO alliance members are boosting defense spending and working to reduce reliance on American weapons and support. Really? So, okay, let me get this straight. We go into Venezuela, we turn off all the electricity, none of the anti aircraft machinery that Venezuela bought from Russia or China worked. We go in there unopposed and we remove the dictator of Venezuela and his wife from the middle of a army base in Venezuela. And you're telling me that you're not going to buy any more American weapons? Are you trying to wean yourself off this technology? Really? Really? Okay. So now we have total air supremacy over Iran. We can go over their capital, take out any military site that we want, but you're not going to buy any of that military technology from the United States. You want to wean yourself. All the NATO alliance countries want to what? Just buy Russian equipment and Chinese equipment or North Korea equipment to defend their countries? Okay, good luck with that. Yeah, I mean, all right, perfect. Well, what I wanted to talk about, we're going to have a little section on this update for news, and that's just an editorial. And I want to talk about lines. And we are faced with lines every day. We wait in line to check out at the grocery store. Sometimes we have to wait in line at the DMV to renew our license. Maybe if we have to stand in line to get our prescription. But in today's world, um, lines are getting bigger and longer. I mean, young people searching for jobs or going to job fairs, they get into some pretty big lines. I've seen some pretty big lines at MegaCon. There you go. If you're gonna hang out with some furriers one day, but when are lines, um, really getting long? Well, there's lines at attractions, there's lines at airports. You if you're gonna go through TSA, usually you wanna get there an hour early, but on major departure times, like O'Hare or Hartsford Airport in Atlanta, or in Orlando from all those major attractions where hundreds, thousands of people go to for a week and then depart on a Saturday. You might want to get to the airport a little early, so you make sure that you make your flights. So sometimes, depending on the departure times, might get to an airport 2 to 3 hours earlier, or an hour earlier, 2 hours earlier. But at the airports, there are restaurants, there are places to eat, so it's not too bad. But um, since the TSA was defunded, and people had to go to the airport 5 to 7 hours earlier, you know, winter lines too long. Okay. This is a Texas airport in Houston where the line was over a mile long. okay, that you had to wait in. So you had to go wait a mile or go walk a mile and then wait and walk another mile to get into the line to go through TSA. How did any of these people make their flights? Well, they didn't. All their flights, they missed their flight. So now they have to rebook. Sometimes they have to rebook their whole vacation. These people are all trying to either get to a job or go interview someone or get interviewed by somebody or go on vacation. And you're faced with this. I mean, a lot of people felt, just absolutely, they felt helpless. Okay, so when do you blow your top when you're waiting in a line like this? Okay, when is enough enough? I mean, they they don't fund the TSA, so you're forced into these lines. So when you blow your top and you've had enough, so you demand to be righted. Well, what do they do? Do they take your right to fly away? Do they put you on a no-fly list because you got angry because you were standing in this line and you've lost all your the money value of your airline tickets and your reservations at a hotel and your rent-a-car? I mean, when you blow your top and then they say, "Hey, you better settle down or we're gonna put you on a no-fly list." I mean, when's enough enough? So I think what's happening is they're trying to get us used to standing in lines because in communistic countries, that might be a line for housing, or that might be a line just to get a food coupon so you can go stand in another line at the grocery store and get your pound of rice or your chicken for the month or your, mealy whatever. Okay. Because in communist countries, they take over all the resources, they sell the resources to other countries around the world, and then they take those proceeds and divvy it out to all the people that live in the country. Meanwhile, of course, that they're going to take care of the top tier first, and then you're going to get the scraps down below. But you're always going to be in a line. So if you don't want lines, you better vote this midterm, and you better start taking back your local government, your local government. Start in your own city, start in your own county, because we're used to standing in lines in America, but we're not used to standing and being forced to stand in lines. And it seems that our lines are getting worse and worse and worse. And that's today's editorial. When's enough enough? All right. Well, have a good weekend. Enjoy Easter weekend. Enjoy your family. Go to church. Um, Meet some new people. Talk about today's events, and get everybody out to vote for this midterms. It's going to be very important. Your local elections, your state elections, and your federal elections. All right, that's it. Have